Councilmember Schipske.
Hey, Mr. Vice Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people that came out today and have come to the committee meetings and have sent emails and phone calls and such. I think it's, we are having, I think, a good discussion about what the city can and cannot do regarding this very sensitive issue. It is not the same in many districts. I think, as my colleague just kind of indicated, without naming the district, some districts are a little bit more open to this, some districts are not. And I know in my particular district I have received quite a few concerns and complaints that they do not want facilities within 1,000 feet of a school. And that actually, we do have a map, because I do believe the 1,000 feet prohibition is for sexual predators right now. So we have a map what 1,000 feet looks like from some of the areas, because I think we went down this route on that issue too. It is difficult. The voters of California spoke that they wanted to have some kinds of exception to the federal and state law, actually, that would allow people to cultivate and utilize marijuana for medical purposes. And, this is a very difficult thing for our city to grapple with, but it's something we have to, because it speaks to the quality of life, not only for the people who want to use these facilities, but for the people in the neighborhoods where these facilities are being located. So I think if we can get that balance, I think that's what good government is all about. And I just wanted to ask a couple questions of the city attorney. Oh, and by the way, I didn't write an ordinance. What I did was, after the city attorney indicated if we had any ideas to send to him, I did so. I took many of those ideas out of the California Attorney General's guidelines. By the way, the Attorney General does speak to collectives and cooperatives. The Attorney General actually, if I'm not mistaken, actually has the requirement that cities can, in fact, ask members to sign that onerous application that you just were complaining about, but that actually is one of the suggestions from the Attorney General's office for verification of that these collectives and cooperatives and the members thereof are actually doing what the law intended to do. So I did have a question about Mr. Shannon. I know, and actually Deputy City Attorney Myers, I think since you worked on this, and I asked you, there was a provision in a memo I think we received that the city would not be able to tax these cooperatives or collectives or the products. I know everybody talks about, gosh, this would be a great revenue producing. And can you indicate why we could not do that?
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Schipske, the reason is because sales are illegal. Sale of marijuana is illegal. It is not an activity that is provided an immunity under the Compassionate Use Act or the Medical Marijuana Program Act.
And as I understand it, the only money they can exchange hands is when the collective or the cooperative, they can actually assess their members, those that are registered members, the reasonable costs for having been able to provide that product on site. But it's not a matter of selling. Therefore, and you can't tax nonprofit organizations. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So this is not something necessarily that is going to, if we regulate these, we're going to see a windfall of tax money available to the city of Long Beach.
That would be accurate.
Thank you. A couple of the things that I had sent on to the city attorney, that I had received some communication, obviously, from constituents that were concerned. One was some notice to the residents. If, in fact, we do be, we're talking about 1,000 feet, we're talking about commercial, and I know we have a collective right now over off of Woodruff that is in a commercial building, but it has apartments upstairs. So under the proposed ordinance, that would not be allowable.
That is also correct.
Okay. The residents have asked, is there some way that if, in fact, as we go forward, this happens with when we get notices, ABC licensure for liquor stores and other things in bars, is there any way that the residents, we could put in the ordinances somewhat, there's got to be some notice. We just went through a lengthy discussion in this council chamber about how important it was to let residents know if there's going to be construction projects at Big Spell and other places. And so I guess my concern would be there's nothing in this ordinance that indicates there would be any kind of notice to residents beyond the 1,000 feet.
Normally, when we provide notice, it's usually in connection with some sort of a process. For instance, if a conditional use permit were going to be issued or a variance were going to be granted or something of that nature. There's nothing built into this particular ordinance that has that type of process. But there would be nothing to prevent us from modifying the ordinance to have a noticing requirement, and we could model it after what we do in the planning code that would require, for instance, say if you currently in the code it's a 750-foot mailing radius, we could require the applicant to obtain the list of people living within that radius and send out a notice. Now, it'd be more in the nature of a courtesy notice because there would be no hearing that they would attend. Right. It would just be telling them that there is one in your neighborhood. But we could modify the ordinance to put that in.
Mr. Bays, as we make suggestions for changes, I would like that added. I think we heard from some of the owners, the operators, the collectives, that, that they want to be good neighbors. And I actually think that this would be very helpful. And again, it also, because this is, I forget who the person was who came up and talked about, this is going to be an education process for a lot of people regarding, the city of Long Beach regulating this type of operation where, in fact, right now we don't. And, there's a lot of misinformation about what's going on. So I think this is part of the education process if we could build in that there would be some automatic notice. Because it's not a hearing, as you indicated, but it's just simply letting the residents know that this proposed collective is going to be located there. Okay, and I know from our office, when if we find those out, we also do that. So that would be a concern. I know this 1,000 feet, and I understand with GIS it's a little bit more accurate. It actually is very accurate because some of the concerns I did receive on the collective that is over on Woodruff is that it's actually 1,420 feet from Milliken. And while if we do 1,000 feet, it's within walking distance. And so we want to be very precise that's the case.